Live.
Today we're going to do a quick demo of Black Powder Red Earth 28mm. We're not going to cover the whole game, but we're going to illustrate the core concepts of combat and how time, turns, phasing, and different units come into play in the course of this game. So, one of the things to know about Black Powder Red Earth 28mm is it is a ultra-modern skirmish game. It has an incredibly efficient rule set. There's only about 5 pages to 6 pages of actual rules for our game. Almost everything you need will be printed on these cards to include the name of the unit, capability points needed for army building, attack stats, defense stats, movement range, special actions, and a faction identity. What we have on the board is a symmetrical force of Hongbin enablers accompanied by their jihadist partner force, the IRE network, and a defending force from Cold Harbor's Crisis Troop Scorch. So the objective of this game is this assault force is trying to enter this building and hold it for one full turn. How they do that is put a unit in here which survives for a full turn, i.e. in the movement maneuver phase, which we'll get into in a moment, surviving to the end of the next movement maneuver phase. So here we go. Attackers always have the initiative in Black Powder Red Earth because in real life, attackers always have the initiative. We start with the direct fire phase. In the direct fire phase, we are simulating units taking an accurate, well-aimed shot. This unit here is the Hongbin mercenary. He's carrying an RPK-16. He is currently braced up against cover, which allows him to get an additional buff in addition to the buff that he gets for firing in the direct fire phase. Now, the buff that he gets in this phase is in exchange for the fact that he can no longer move or activate for the rest of this turn unless a very specific condition is met later, which we'll come to soon. So, attackers always have the initiative. These two units can clearly see each other. This assaulter and this Hongbin merc. Now, there are intervening pieces of cover in here. This does not, because this unit is touching this wall in this window here, this does not count as a cover or a terrain feature for him. It would count as a terrain feature for this unit over here as his line of sight passes through this window and this window. But because there is this window here that neither unit is touching, both units would essentially be rolling what's called an obstructed shot. So an obstructed shot is a little bit harder to make than an unobstructed shot. Now, if we look at our attack stats for this unit on the card, an obstructed shot for him would normally be a 13. He only has to roll a 12 in the direct fire phase. Because he is up against this cover, he's also getting to roll 2 attacks. So we need to see a 12 to get a hit on this unit. Oh boy. We're gonna that's an 11. And then the second roll is, geez, I can't read the second number. Okay, 8. 2 misses. Once that unit is now activated, we will place an activation chit to mark that this unit is activated. He can no longer activate again till a later phase in this turn. Now, the defending player has an opportunity here to take a shot back at this unit, choose not to fire at all, and preserve his activation for later in the game, or, as I'm about to demonstrate here, he's going to choose to throw a frag grenade. Frag grenades can only be employed in the direct fire phase. They will explode later in the finishing phase. Basically, I can draw a line. Where can I, from a base to a point on the map is what I'm going to be able to throw the grenade. I'm going to throw this grenade right here. Now, this unit is considered activated if I do not throw the chit across the table. And he is now pinned. He will now remain in place for the rest of this turn. So no other units have direct line of sight each other. That's part of the buff is if the units are in a direct line of sight so they can take a shot during that direct fire phase. So we now move into the maneuver phase. The first activation here is going to be this unit who's a Shurta. He's kind of a low-level fighter. He is going to advance approximately an inch, and you can see this in our handy-dandy template. This is a 6-inch template, and you can see 0 to 2 inches on the center here, 1 inch on the edge. This unit is going to advance in front of this door 1 inch. Oops, he is going to open the door. Actuating a door costs 3 inches of movement. This unit has a total of 6 inches of movement range, meaning he has 2 more inches to maneuver. But before he can do that, he has now exposed himself to fire from this unit. This recce unit is capable of now taking a shot called an immediate action. With an immediate action, what we are simulating is a flinch shot. Very quick, coming up on a rifle. Oh my God, like I'm gonna put rounds on a target. That shot is then debuffed by a -2. All that's required is that to take an immediate action is that the opposing unit comes into the line of sight. The immediate action trumps the attacking unit's actions. We determine line of sight based on the orientation of the hips of this unit, and you can see this in our handy dandy template here. What we are simulating with that is essentially with a rifle, I can come about 90 degrees to my left. However, I stop here on the right. I cannot break a shot accurately past this point. I have to do some weird shit, and then my rifle's all messed up. So these guys are professionals and wouldn't do that. Now, because this unit is a low-level fighter and does not shoot very well, this recce unit is going to choose to roll the dice, so to speak, and let this guy come into the room and hope he misses. We now take this template to measure another 2 inches to this position where he's going to attempt to break a shot at him. The guard shooter requires a 14 for a direct line of sight hit. We roll 15. So he gets a hit. So the first thing we do is we added shit to this unit. Now, the recce unit has the opportunity to save. The save stats are pretty aggressive here. It's a 2d10 roll. Anything under a 15 will kill the unit. 15 to 19 staggers the unit, and a 20 leaves him unaffected. For the purposes of this demo, we're going to say that that's a 20 because I want him to be unaffected to do the next action. So we now have an open door. We now have a unit in the house alive, and we now have a path into the house for multiple attackers. As a defender, I now have to make a decision about how do I keep these guys out of the house. So for this unit, we are going to maneuver him out of this door. The door is already open. Now this is a recce unit. Recce units have a higher cost. However, they have 8 inches of movement, and they're able to open 1 door per turn for free. No cost of activation. He moves about 1.5 inches to this door. We're going to call it another 2.5 inches to get here. At this point, he is now exposed to both of these units. These units have the opportunity to take an immediate action shot at him. As an attacking player with a lower survivability with these units, it is vitally important for him to attempt to kill this unit. These Mudasib these shirt are essentially crit seekers. This Mudasib has a suicide vest, and if he can get inside this house, he can definitely clack that vest off and kill this guy. Though this unit still has not activated and could potentially take an immediate action shot on him. So, first the shirt is going to take a shot. It's coming over this piece of cover, but because he's touching the cover, it doesn't affect him. He is able to see the center of this unit's base, making this an unobstructed shot. So normally that would be a 14. In this instance, with the immediate action debuff, he is actually required to hit with a 17, -3. And he gets a 16, near miss. This unit is now activated. This Mudasib unit is now in the position of, if he does not shoot, he is very likely to get killed by this recce. He requires a 13 to get a obstructed line of sight hit, but I think he can see the center of his base. Yes, he can. So he needs a 12 plus 3. He needs a 15 to get a hit. He rolls a 4. So 2 misses. What this has actually done is it's not only pinned these 2 units in place here, it has pinned them in a danger area where this grenade will potentially explode shortly. We'll revisit that in a moment. Now, I have 5 hostile units still active on the board that I have to interact with. I'm going to make the decision with having only used about 2.5 inches of movement. I still have significant range. I'm going to choose to move this unit 3 inches in a straight line over here to get me in line of sight of this unit so I can engage him. It will be obstructed, but I can get him. Now, these units here can get they cannot see the center of his base, but they can take an obstructed shot at him. They're going to try to preserve that unit.
We have both of them.
He's going to attack. He's going to need that, I believe it was a 17. He rolls 17. It's a hit.
Surprisingly, with these, they're actually big.
Man, I'm rolling really well today for the bad guys.
Yeah.
This is making this demo very difficult to do. So I'm going to say he rolled a 16.
And also, like, when you nip off
Now, this unit will then lay around in on this guy here. 10. It's actually a hit because the Recce needs a 9 for an obstructed line of sight hit, and he goes through the window and hits him for 10. This Mudasib, right there, you can see that attack stat. So the Hongbin Merc does have a save. He has body armor on. He requires a 17 to survive the hit. 16.
my partner would very much.
So that
pick up
unit
on that.
is dead. We now have about 3 inches of activation space left. So I'm going to move
That's awesome. I'm gonna let him know that. Thank you.
2 inches here. And that last inch to just barely get in that door. And I'm going to close the door behind me to complete his activation.
Yeah, they're both up there. So this is
Now,
the bigger one.
attacker's turn.
Yeah, and the one next to it's smaller.
Attacker's going to start moving forward. This doorway is still open, so he will attempt to bypass his own guy. He's not going to be able to make it there for 6 inches. He can start his trip. He comes out here for, say, 1 inch to get to this position. I don't think he has a shot at the guy on the inside yet. He does not. He's going to advance 5 more inches forward, straight line, this position. That position, this unit has the ability to take an immediate action shot, and I'm going to do it with this unit. The Recce would need, that is a direct line of sight hit, so it's 7, he needs to roll a 9. He rolls a 15. This unit gets a save, he needs a 17 or higher to a save. He gets a 17. So this unit is staggered, he's not killed. And the unit that took the immediate action, now marked as activated. This leaves 3 attacking units still in play. I'm going to move this unit forward here, using the template to come up here 3 inches, and then advance the remaining 3 inches to get right behind this guy and take a shot at the dude inside the house. Again, it's obstructed. Actually, no, he doesn't have that. It's just outside the corner of that room. So, does he have a? And he doesn't have a shot on this guy either, right? No, he doesn't. Which leaves these 2 units left to activate. Start moving with these guys, because these guys are going to get to do some shooting right away. You move an inch forward to this position.
That's a centerpiece. And it's also a metal.
He can take a shot right now.
It's all metal.
But if he moves the remaining 5 inches up to this piece of cover, which he can do, well, I guess he still has to shoot through the window, so it doesn't really matter. He's going to take a shot, obstructed shot. That is a 14 to hit. He rolls a 16. Jeez, my God, I'm rolling like fire today. This unit rolls to see if he saves. Nope, didn't roll like fire for him. He's dead. The last remaining unit in play here comes out. An inch to here. We're just going to push him over to max range about here, and then we chit him. This completes the maneuver phase. We now have a pretty crazy situation on the board here because we have a lot of units surrounding this grenade. The first thing we're going to do in this finishing phase is determine where this grenade ended up. To determine the positioning of the grenade, we take the template and orient it however we want as the thrower of the grenade. We drop 1d10. Got a 7. So the 7, it ran right into the door here and explodes. It explodes with a 2-inch radius of area of effect. So it looks like it hits this guy who has a suicide vest. He dies. He immediately propagates a secondary 2-inch explosion which kills this unit and this unit because these units have no saves on them. And I don't think it catches this. God. As much as I would like it to, it does not catch that guy on the front. He survives. And the explosion doesn't hit, it goes through the door, but it doesn't reach our assaulter. So the frag has got to play now. Now we resolve finishing phase shots. Finishing phase shots are taken by units within 3 inches of one another who are able who have line of sight on each other. So as we can see, both of these units can see each other and can take finishing phase shots. These shots are not buffed or debuffed though. This unit has an unobstructed shot. He needs to roll a 14 to hit. He rolls a
Card.
8. So that's a miss. This unit now is finished his activation. The Recce unit now shoots back at him and requires a 7. Gets a 9. Kills him because he has no body armor on. No other units can see each other directly at this point. I do not believe this unit has line of sight inside the house. And you know what? He does, but he's out of range, so it doesn't actually matter. This would then end the finishing phase. We would then clear all the chips from the play.
Yeah.
Move the turn counter to the next turn, and that would complete the turn. We would start the next turn. That's your basics of a BPRE combat demo. So some things I wanted to point out here, if they weren't abundantly clear. Time really matters in this game. The assault force is rushing towards this door because they were trying to get in position for the next phase. In the next phase, the direct fire phase, once again, units that have line of sight on each other can shoot each other. This unit here could just barely, well, he's pushed into the house. Let me push him up here.
He lost in the Hurricane Harvey.
This unit here could just barely see him, so he would actually qualify for an obstructed line of sight shot on this Recce in the next turn. This unit, which would normally need a 13, would actually, or I'm sorry, that's the Mudison. He would normally need a 15, can take that shot for 14. This unit is going to be pressured into making a decision here about this guy, whether I'm going to take a shot at him or not, because I also have this guy with the Suicide Fest still alive outside to deal with. That pretty much concludes the basics of the Black Powder Order 28mm combat demo. Thank you for joining us.
I was looking at it. Just ignore it. Shoot yourself.